Let's understand how the default sort mechanism works in array. When we are dealing with the default sort, it means we are not giving any custom behavior for the sorting operation. Let's see with a couple of examples how this works. Let's say we are having an array of an integer number 3, 1, 2. Let me just console it and confirm on the screen first. Yes, everything is perfect. Now I want to perform a sorting so that these numbers will get sorted and it will be 1, 2, 3 in an ascending order. So if I want to do that, I can say array dot sort. That's perfect. And remember, we are not giving any additional parameter. It means we are using the default behavior for the sorting. Let's see the results now. So it's 1, 2, 3. So the sorting is working very perfectly in this case. Along with this, we also understood when we are performing dot sort here. So the sort method is sorting our original array. It is not creating a new array out of it. So it is sorting an existing array, and that's the reason after this sort, it is not needed to reassign to some other array or maybe the same array. So this is important behavior to understand. Even though if you just hover your cursor here and see the documentation, it returns some value. What is that value? It is the same reference to the existing array itself. It is not anything different. If you want to confirm that, let's say let temp array. Okay. And here what I'll do, I'll perform a comparison between array and the temporary array. Let's see the results now. True. Because this is modifying the same array which is present here, and the temporary array is also referring to the same array. That's the reason. So there is no need to write like this. This will be sufficient. Now let's try to understand the array sort method in detail, how exactly the sorting is happening. So the sorting by default is performing in ascending manner. What if we want in a descending manner? So what we can do, once we are done with the sort, we can say array dot reverse. So now we should be able to see 3, 2, 1. Yes, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's all good for the integer one. Let's try to do the same operation for string related array. So this is my array of string, which is holding C, after that A, after that B here. And I want to apply the sorting here. Array dot sort. Okay, and console it. Let's see the results. That's perfect. It's giving us A, B, and the C. Now, previously we have given integer. This time we have given string, but it's still working. And how it is able to identify which is the smaller and which is the bigger one? That's the question. To answer this question, what I will do, I'll just change the capital letter A to small letter a here. And let's see what happens now. So surprisingly, for our ascending, the B and the C are coming very perfectly because B is smaller than C, but A is coming at the end. It should come at the start because A is smaller than B and C. And if I again change it to the capital letter A, you can see everything will work perfectly. A, B, C. Only the problem is coming when I'm making A is small. Let's see. So I'll just take a small pause here so that you can try to understand what's the reason behind this. Yes, let's continue. So the reason behind this is if you just hover your cursor on the sort mechanism, it will tell you the function used to determine the order of the element. It is expected to return a negative value if the first argument is less than the second argument. This is all happens when you are giving a custom mechanism for sorting. But what's the default behavior? The sorting will happen based upon the ASCII character order. So right now we are not using the custom behavior. So the default sorting is based on the ASCII character order. So what exactly the ASCII character order? Let's try to search it on the Google. So if you just Google ASCII table, there are a variety of resources you will find regarding this. So ASCII is a character set in which there are around 127 characters. So this is right from the character code start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and again we are 32 something, 64, 65, 96. It is up to 127. And here, if you see the values present for yes. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the numeric numbers. So what are the ASCII codes for that? Equivalent ASCII values 48, 49. For the number 5, 53. For the number 9, 57. And if you come here more forward and see the ASCII values for capital A, capital B, this is 65, 66. And if you see the equivalent ASCII values for small a, b, these are 97, 98. So based upon these ASCII values, the sorting is getting performed and the ascending order is decided. So as the ASCII value for small a is 97, which is of course bigger than 65, 67. So as per the ASCII ascending order, the A is coming at the end in our case. So what we will do here, we are having A, B, right? We'll try to pick up any character which is below 65 and 67. So we'll try to get this 8 at the rate symbol itself to verify. So what I will do here, instead of this A, I'll try to put at the rate symbol. So at the rate symbol should come first, then B, and then C, because as per the character value here, 64 is the smallest one, then 66 will come up, and 67 for the values here. Let's see. That's perfect. In the similar way, let's also try for something else. We have a curly bracket here, the opening curly bracket. The opening curly bracket value is 123, which is almost the highest that any other small letters or the capital letters. So let's try with opening curly bracket. It should come at the last. Yes, it's coming. So this is how the by default sort mechanism will use the ASCII table and ASCII values to perform the sort in an ascending order. Let's understand how we can sort an array without affecting the original array. So we just need to create a copy of the array, then we need to apply the sort on a copied array so that our original array will not be affected. It will be needed in many cases when you're writing a certain logic. Let's see how to do that. Very first thing, we are having an array here which is holding numbers, for example 3, 2, 1 here. And if you're performing a sort, let's see. Yes, so it is updating the original array. That's what the behavior of this sort function. It updates the original array. But if you want to keep this original array as it is, what you can do, you can create a separate copy of the array by using different mechanism like a looping, for loop, otherwise maybe with the JSON string and stringify, and use the normal spread operator here to create a new copy of the array. So I'll say let sorted array. And here I'll use a spread operator for array. So firstly, what's happening here? We are creating a new copy of the array by using this spread operator. So due to this dot 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 array, a new copy of the existing array is getting created, a shadow copy. And on that new array, I'll perform the sort operation. So after performing this sort operation, it is getting applied on the newly created array. And what is the newly created array is there, that reference is being assigned to the sorted array. So you can also see the sort method also returns the list of numbers, which is a reference to the original array which is being sorted. In this case, the array that we are sorting is this one. So let's see now. Let's console the original one and the sorted one here. So this is how the original array is remaining as it is 3, 1, 2, because nowhere in the code we are applying array dot sort like this. we are creating a new copy of this array, then the old array doesn't matter here. The newly created array, on that we are applying a sort. So this is how we can sort an array and create a new copy without affecting the original array in JavaScript. Let's understand sort with compare function. So if you want to customize the behavior of the default sort for the array, we can use the compare sort function as a parameter for the sort method. Let's try to understand with small examples here. Very first thing, let's try to figure it out why exactly we need a custom sort. What's the problem with an inbuilt sort? So I'm having an array here, which is holding some numbers in that. Okay. Me just console it, confirm everything is good. Yes. Now array dot sort. So this is the default mechanism available in which it is clearly specified. If we are not specifying the compare function, so it will use by default the ASCII character order. That's perfectly fine. Let's see now. So we are able to see it's perfectly working 1, 2, 3. But the problem arises when I'm making it 10 here. What's happening here? So initially 2 should come, then 3 should come, and then 10 should come. See the outcome here, it will be 10, 2, 3. Why? Because as we have already seen here, the comparison is happening based on the ASCII character order. Of course, the ASCII character order for the one is less than 2 and 3. So that's the reason 10 is coming at the start and 2 and 3 are going after that. So this is the reason it is not considering as a whole number. It is treating as each and every single individual character with its ASCII value. So if you just open the ASCII table here, so you can see the value of 1 is 49 and the value of 2 is 50 and 3 is 51. So even though I'm mentioning 10 here, it doesn't matter because it just compare with the first one and then next. So the first one is 49. So of course the precedence of the 1 or the 10, this element will become the first in my sorting as per the ASCII order. This is a problem with the default sort. So to customize this behavior, we need to customize the compare function. If you hover your cursor here, you can see we can pass a compare function to that. So what exactly this compare function does? So what is the sorting algorithm JavaScript runs in background by using this sort mechanism? So whenever any two numbers will be picked up or two elements will be picked up, how these two elements should get compared with each other, that behavior we need to define. We don't need to work on the algorithm like first element or the binary sort or maybe the any other sort of algorithm. We don't need to deal with that. That JavaScript is doing for you. You just need to specify the compare function. If there are two numbers, how the comparison should work. So in this case, you can see there are two inputs, number one and the number two. And based upon that, we need to give a number as an output to that function. So what is this number? So you can read out the description here. The function used to determine the order of the elements. It is expected to return a negative value if the first argument is less than the second argument. It means if we are passing two arguments to a compare function, if the first argument is less than the second argument, so it should return a negative value. And that's the reason if you see, they have given here a sample example as well, a comma b, and they're using an arrow function and returning a minus b. So of course, if a is less than b, the expression will return a negative value here. Let's say, for example, this is in this case, it is 1 and it is 3. So of course, it will become minus 2. In the second case, if the second value is the bigger than the first value, if the first value is the bigger than the second value, it should return a positive value, like the way they have mentioned here. And if both are equal, it should return a 0, so that there will be no change in sequence for the sorting algorithm. So this is how the compare function works. So let's create a small compare function here. So creating a compare function which needs two argument. So I can use arrow function syntax here I'll say for A comma B here, and I'll say A minus B simply. What exactly is happening? So this compare function, we are specifying if there are two numbers are coming up, how the comparison should happen. And the result of this comparison will be only three. One is positive, second is negative, and the third one will be zero. And based upon that, the sort mechanism will work. Let's see how the sorting works now. That's perfect. So we are getting 2, 3, and 10. And this is what we needed initially. We understood if there is minus or plus, the change in sequence is happening. Let's try to do something else here. For example, 1, 2, 3. So initially itself the array is sorted, and let me also make it, for example, more similar values over here like this. And let's try to run the same code again. So here, the third behavior that I told you, if A minus B is 0, so positions won't change by using a compare function. So that scenario we can understand here. This scenario we can more understand with array of object with a stable sort. In this case, there might not be any difference. For example, if this is a 2 or this is a 2 will remaining at its own place. In my final output, if it is changing its place, we are not able to detect because both are having the same values. But if we are using array of object, we can check this consistency, like it's a stable sort or not. That's perfect. Let's try to see the next one. In the next behavior, we'll try to introduce some null values. Let's say, for example, this is 10, this is 3. Let's see, everything is good. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll try to introduce an empty slots in my array. I just want to understand what happens if I'm putting an empty slot in my array. So there is an empty slot. Let's see what happens. Yes. So if there is an empty slot, the empty slot is getting pushed at the end of your array. So we understood that if you're performing a sort on any array, all the empty slots will be pushed at the end of the array. Let's try to add one more empty slot at the start of the array. So there are now 1 and 2, two empty slots in my array. All the two slots, empty slots, are getting pushed at the end. Perfect. Along with this, we'll also try to understand if there is something, a null value in our array. What will happen with that? Because of course the comparison cannot happen with the null. So let's see what happens for the null. Yeah. So null is pushing at the start of the array if you're performing a sort. That's a strange behavior, but this is how the nulls are getting pushed at the start of the array with our scenario here. Let's try to add one more null here. Yes, all the nulls we are pushing at the start here. Okay. This could be also reason because when you're using a null will get converted to 0 when they're putting into some expression. That could be one of the possible reason in this case, we can say. Let's say try to use undefined. What happens with undefined? Okay. Let me try adding undefined over here. Undefined are just one step behind the empty from the back side. Let me try to add undefined before number 10 here, or maybe at the start, to be more specific with this now. Yes, all the undefineds are getting pushed at the end before the empty slots. So this is how we just try to understand if there are nulls, undefined, or the empty slots in our array, what's happening with the custom logic we created. Let's try to do the same thing with the default sort. What's happening here? So with the default sort, all the null, all the undefined, and all the empty slots are going at the end. And there is a specific reason for that. As I told you, when you're using a null value inside an expression, null will get converted to 0. If you want to prove that, what we will do, we'll say log. So ideally it should throw some error because it is not an ideal case where we are making 1 plus null. But let's see what's an output for this. So you can see the output at line number 9 is 1. It means this null is getting converted to 0, and that's the reason 1 plus 0 is 1. And this is the reason when we are using a custom sort mechanism here, we are saying A minus B. So maybe this null is getting converted to 0 and somehow the null are getting pushed ahead in our sorted array. But in the default one, all the null, all the undefined, all the empty slots, all the falsy values are getting pushed at the end of the array. So this is how all the falsy values work in sort. Let's try to see one more quick example. So in this example, if you are using any characters which are beyond the ASCII characters, so how the sorting will behave for that and how we can write a custom logic or maybe for the string, because we have seen for the numbers only, we haven't seen for the strings. So let's try to perform some sorting operation on string. Then we'll also see if we are using any string character which are beyond the ASCII characters, maybe the special characters, how it will work, maybe the different languages like French, if you put, so how the sorting will work. Let's see. So I'm creating one more array here. Let's say I'm giving B here, then A and C. Let me confirm all things are working fine. Yes, we are getting our array. Let's perform a default sort. Yeah, the sorting is happening based upon ABC, the ASCII order value. That's perfect. Now let's try to add the custom logic A comma B by using a compare function. So how the A and B will be compared? And before going to this, let's try to introduce some problem over here. So the problem is, for example, if I include small a, here we go. So the problem is the A is coming at the end because the ASCII value for the small a letter is bigger than B and C, which is not correct if we do the ascending sort. So we need to write a custom compare function for this. I'll convert all the characters, all the string to the lowercase. I'll mention less than p dot lowercase. Okay. So this is how, what exactly we are trying to do. We are trying to convert what is the two elements are coming, the string elements are coming for the comparison. Firstly, we are comparing it to a lowercase and then we are performing a comparison out of it. That's the reason there will be no problem in this. And remember one thing, we are not changing the original A and B here. We are just making a temporary conversion here. It is not changing original string. It is just representing or reproducing a new string out of it with a lowercase syntax. Actually, when we are performing a comparison between A and B here, like firstly, it should be a function here because it returns a string, a lowercase version of string. And secondly, this less than operator will just return true and false. But our sort mechanism don't need the true and false. We need a positive value, how much difference is there. We need a negative value, how much difference is there in negative, or we need a zero. These three different cases only we need. We don't need a true and false statement. So this will not be sufficient in our case. And that's the reason if you have seen here, we have used one A minus B. We haven't used A is less than B. Okay, so what we will do, first of all, we'll convert A to a lowercase. Then we'll also do the same for B as well. And now here I'll say if A is less than B, so return -1. Else if A is greater than B, then return +1. Else I want to return 0 because in the else compulsorily both are equal. That's the reason they have skipped if and else if block. So this is a very simple scenario in which my sort compare function is returning minus value, plus value, and the 0 value based upon the values preferences, and we have converted to a lowercase. Let's see the outcome now. So we are getting a perfect outcome here now, A, B, and the C. So even though now I use a different small letter, capital letter, It will not create any problem for me. So this is how we sorted out the problem with the string comparison. Even our string are not like they should not be taken care of case sensitive matter here. Let's also try with special characters here, or maybe the special symbols here which are beyond the ASCII characters, so that we can have more different scenarios here. So these are the few words I picked up, like these are not in ASCII characters. So here if I perform the normal sort, let's see how it happens. So if we do the normal sort here, so this is how it's coming. But if you clearly see here, here the Z is coming before this particular E. Of course, this E is not a normal E. It's a French letter which should come earlier before Z in this case. But due to the ASCII character sequence, it is going at the end. That could be the reason for that. So what is the right default comparison is there that is not suiting in this case? So we have to customize the behavior for sorting. So let's quickly write a compare function for the same. Okay. And here, what simply I can use a dot locally compare. So there is something called locally compare, which will help us to compare the values in a locally format in a respective language. So here, let me pass the parameter b here. And now this locally will return you the number based upon the positive difference, negative difference, or the zero if they are equal. And now let's see the outcome. So it's perfect, perfect. And this is what we solve the problem now, and the Z is at the end. So this is how we can customize the behavior of a sort by using a compare function for a different requirement in JavaScript.